everyone, this is Jaclyn Krymowski with the Herd Book Ag Media. I'm here to give you your Moving Iron Ag News update as we continue to roll on through the month of November. Here in our political news for the week, Meat and Poultry reports that 4 U.S. senators have created a compromise bill that is supposed to bring more transparency here to the U.S. cattle markets. Some of these elements of the proposed act, that is formally the Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act, is to establish regional mandatory minimum thresholds for cash and grid trades that are negotiated on each of the region's average trade table to price discovery cattle marketing in regions. Another would be to require the USDA that create and maintain a publicly available library for all marketing contracts for both packers and producers that would still ensure confidentiality. Next, it would also prohibit the Department of Agriculture from using that said confidentiality as a justification for not reporting or making it very clear the report of all of the livestock mandatory reporting information. And finally, it would require more timely reporting of cattle carcass weights, and would do things such as require a packer to report the number of cattle scheduled for delivery each day for the next 2 weeks. Those who announced it are Senators Deb Fischer of Nebraska, Chuck Grassley of Iowa, John Tester of Montana, and Ron Wyden of Oregon, and this would be a bipartisan movement. The Department of Agriculture's Natural Institute of Food and Agriculture recently announced an investment to accommodate people with disabilities working in agriculture. This initial funding investment contains over $1.2 million and a total investment of over $5 million that will be distributed over the next 4 years under what's called the AgAbility Program. This program is specifically to help farmers, ranchers, and other agricultural workers who have disabilities to still remain productive and be successful working within the agricultural fields. Moving on to our international news this week. Reuters recently reported out of Beijing that cabbage sales have skyrocketed throughout the whole country. Consumers flooded supermarkets recently after the country issued an advisory statement that households stock up on their daily necessities due to inclement weather, notably winter weather related, and also the ongoing COVID-19 precautions. Brazil recently saw their largest ever ag Fintech Funding, with a company that took home over $17 million from its Series A round. The company, Travy, I could be pronouncing that wrong, had big contributions from some notable investors in the ag tech fintech space, and it was only founded in 2018 coming out of an MIT project. The company aims to help farmers access capital, especially within the country of Brazil, by closing the information gap that exists in the country between both lenders and growers. In addition to providing working capital loans, they also centralize financial steps for farmers and use their own algorithms to assess risk. This startup, based on its very successful first round of funding, says they plan to expand their service even into the U.S. as early as next year. Right now, their plan is to focus directly on farmers and create that communication channel for crop updates all the way up through their lending chain. And it's also worth noting this year has been exceptionally good for our U.S. agricultural exports going out to the rest of the world. For this fiscal year, 2021, Department of Agriculture is estimating all total combined agricultural exports to be worth $173.5 billion. Next year, exports are slated to even increase above that, going to $177.5 billion. They attribute to this estimate going up due to the increasing export values for things like soybeans, cotton, and horticultural related products. Not to mention there is expanded business going into China and Mexico, and they look like their demand is going to keep strong and remain open. And now, moving back closer to home, farmland prices here in the Midwest are still way up. According to Successful Farming, farmland prices throughout all the Midwestern states have gone up 20% or more in specific areas, and they say that will continue for at least next year and possibly even longer, according to some experts. And as you're aware of, with the ongoing hacker issues, recently 5 individuals connected to the ransomware group REvil, that is REvil, were arrested due to their involvement in the attack that happened on JBS early this summer. This could be a big deal as the company is out $11 million after that breach happened, and supposedly there could finally be some closure. You may have noticed that dairy prices, especially when it comes to fluid milk, has gone up notably. And you're not just imagining it. Since July 2018, sales for whole milk, price-wise, have increased 26%, and just over the past year, there's been an increase of 4%. Now, granted, the market was very low previously. However, some things that have happened within the past year have contributed to the increase in prices. This, with rising cost of production, has led more farms to decrease their herds, and not to mention corn and other commodity prices for feeding cattle are up. Some of this is also connected with the drought that has been going on as more and more farms are forced to consolidate due to water shortages, and again, that also ties back to feed. On November 6th, there was a bomb threat reported at Tyson Foods in one of they're the single largest pork processing plant in Waterloo, Iowa. Production at the facility was completely halted and employees evacuated due to investigations. The company says that all employees were evacuated for their own safety and the whole situation thoroughly investigated, and they received the all clear with operations resuming as normal. Well, that should catch you guys up for now. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. This Ag News Update is brought to you by the Herd Book Ag Media. Follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or our company website, the-herdbook.com, where we serve all your agribusiness writing, communication, and media needs. Let me know you found out about us here on Moving Iron and get 20% off your first invoice.